I'm Taiwanese. I grew up in the States. I have my formal educations from high school through master degree. I did fine arts, and then I did fine arts for master. Yeah, so, and then I moved to Singapore when I was 27, like that, 26, and I've been here since. Yeah. That's a tough question. I think on a psychological level, art is something I feel comfortable doing. I think it's therapeutic, it's personal, and it allowed me to do things creatively, of course, and that gave me certain energy for life. I think if I were an accountant, I will probably die pretty soon. Well, not die, but I don't think I'll feel happy doing accounting work. So just for myself, it's an empowering thing. It allowed me to say things I want to say. But on a bigger level, art is. I do think art is a career. It's a way to make a living. It's possible, I think. It's difficult, but it's possible. I think philosophically, the word purpose itself is tricky. But then you have to ask, what's the purpose of life, right? Like, it's a much bigger question than a purpose. But you can, on a very basic level, you can say purpose is like design has a purpose. Furniture design has a purpose. Does art have a purpose? I think so. It allows people to share ideas that cannot be shared through other forms. A dance has a certain way of telling something, music, film, poetry, writing, and visual art has this certain way of telling a message or a story or a feeling or a mood. So yes, it has a purpose in sort of the bigger cultural field. Yes. So yes. Okay, so I'm doing a solo exhibition at Nanyang Girls High School. It's curated by Art Elective students, Sec 3s. It's the first time they're curating a show, and also the first time we're letting them do this kind of exercise. So I kind of want to try it. And instead of studying artists who are dead in the textbook, I thought maybe it could be interesting for them to interact with a living artist. So for example, me. So for the solo exhibition, it's basically majority of the work are from the past 2 years, 2-3 years, that have been sort of has the layer of me thinking about what the concept of home is. So the title, Half is a Place, sort of in a way sort of reference the idea of staircases or transitional spaces. Like airports, also it's a transitional space. So all those spaces I've been thinking about, because they are not, we don't consider them a place, we consider them a transitional zone. You don't say, hey, I'm going to the staircase. We don't see it as a location, really. It's a way of getting from A to B. So for the title, Half is a Place, I've been thinking about, in a way, life is nothing more than a bunch of transitional spaces. They are just one after another. You don't. Nothing is really permanent. Everything is sort of temporary, and so life is just one transitional place after another. So in a way, even though it sounds very serious, and I don't think really reflect my work, but those are sort of the things I've been thinking in the background. Yeah. Sometimes I forget my influences, but if I were to name one, and one that's sort of very recognizable, I would say Marcel Duchamp. He's the artist who coined the term ready-made. He's the one who put a toilet in the art gallery and called it art. So he is this sort of a very important figure for the 20th century art because his idea about ready-made and about things that's mass-produced and about the idea of the authorship of the artist. So I think all those ideas are sort of very interesting, has a big influence for the sort of the centuries afterwards. So yeah, I guess he'll be my main influence. People ask me that. I usually say when I'm doing dishes, I get a lot of ideas. Or when I'm walking, I think about art a lot and I have ideas. Recently, I've been sort of just observation things I do just on the way to work. Taking public transportation has given me a lot of ideas. So recently, I've been thinking a lot about, on the buses or MRT, there are two types of things you can hold on to when you're standing. One is the pole, the vertical pole. That's just a name for it, but I can't remember at the moment. And there's also the handle, the grip. I think it's called hanging grip or hanging strap. That's the name. So I've been thinking about those two things for the last 2 months because they basically change the way we experience momentum. So for example, when you hold on to the vertical pole, in a way, it's sort of building into the structure of the whole vehicle, the bus or the MRT. So when the vehicle stops, your whole momentum is sort of becoming one with the rest of the vehicle. But the hanging strap is very different. Because you have this degree of freedom, you stop in a delayed way. So your body sort of lurch forward. So I've been thinking about this idea of like very mundane daily experiences, but they actually sort of reveal something very different about how our body experience everyday life. Those are my new things. So so it's quite inspiring because our body always sort of experiences different mass, different forces, different momentum, inertia. All those things together makes up our daily experiences, and I've been sort of writing about it, and I'm trying to come up with a narrative that sort of deal with those two different type of experiences. So I guess that's sort of inspiration. Yeah, I guess other artists that's doing similar stuff that as I do, but there are not many in Singapore for some reason. People's work are quite different. So I think if I would say inspiration, I would say music. To name a couple musicians that I find greatly inspiring, one would be the band called Destroyer. Another band I would say is another one? Oh, this band called Neutral Milk Hotel. Okay, so those two bands, they have amazing songwriting skills or songwriting. Because they are very imaginative and they are very strange, and they make me think about ideas that I actually care about a lot. So they are just very cool lyrics, I think. Yeah. Wrap your arms around in the fog on a fairy night. I feel like no one has talked about the word beautiful in the art scene in the last 10 years. So contemporary art has changed a lot since sort of I don't know. It has changed a lot in the 20th century. The idea of beauty is not in the forefront of discussion. Beauty is has become something very subjective, and there's no such thing as mainstream beauty. In a way, we can say in music there's no mainstream music anymore. Everyone has their own niche, sort of pocket of what they consider good music. So I think beauty is in a way similar. Beautiful. Does artwork needs to be beautiful? Is that a question? No, it doesn't. I don't think so. Art does not need to be visually beautiful. Sometimes you can have a beautiful idea. I don't know if that's the same thing though. Is that what you're asking though? Or just the idea? You can have a very beautiful idea, but visually, I don't think it has to be beautiful. Yeah. I think I'm actually the normalest person in the world. A lot of people are much stranger than me. Like a lot of supposedly normal people are actually very strange. Like accountants are strange, in a way. Like I can't believe the things they do. Not in a bad way, just like amazing. They can do the job. You know, it's great. So I don't have to do it. Strange. I feel very normal. I can see that some people find me strange. Yes. I would say 9 out of 10 people I meet will probably find me strange one or another. But also I find it strange. So in the end, I don't really think about it that much. I think it's also has to do with part of the world we're living now, that there's just so many different layers and interests and personalities and what do you call it, like just like music again. There's just so many different mainstreams now. Everything's sub mainstream, right? So I don't think I'm strange, but I don't think I'm strange, but I know people think I'm strange. But that's okay. I don't care. Well, I guess if I'll take one from the exhibition downstairs, would be the sweater that has a very long sleeve. That's sort of in the middle of the gallery. I made that piece in 2009 or 2010. It was the first piece. It was also the first piece I did when I moved to Singapore from the States. And it's very simply, it's just sort of about this idea of trying to reach out, trying to grab onto something that's further away. So the idea of distance, the idea of holding onto something with your arm, the idea of reaching something that's impossible, but also also has this sort of reference to straight jackets. So have you seen those insane? Yeah. I never wore one, but like insane Asylum, they have those straight jacket where the arms very long and actually tight behind your back. So in the lines of thinking about like longing for something or wanting something that's far away, you can drive one's mentality toward a bit. I don't want to say the word crazy. It's the word more like, what's the word I'm looking for here? Crazy. Maybe. How does it teach? I guess sometimes I enjoy talking to students about my work because I realize I need to put it into very simple language. Actually, that helps a lot because it actually make myself realize what I'm doing. So the way of thinking about it in simple terms makes me realize what I'm doing. But also, I think just interacting with kids or students kind of just give me an insight about like what's happening in the world. Yeah, I'm generally interested in what people are thinking, kids or adults or older people. Just kind of like to think how they think. You know, so just like the fact that I can spend time with them and ask them questions about anything really. It doesn't have to be about art, but just about how people think, and has always sort of influenced how I think about my own work. So I didn't do art until I was in uni. Really, I didn't take art. We didn't have anything like AP or A-level art. I don't think. So I took art like for 2 years in high school, but it wasn't very serious. It was more like a craft making class. So and then even uni, because the school I went to, and then master degree after that, there was never exams. So when I first came here, I was like I had to give exams and I had to like grade them. Seems very strange. If you make art for exam, you become making something that's quite different. I don't think it's I might sound negative, but I don't think it's completely negative. It just makes the outcome different. I don't know exactly what the difference is, because the way I went through art education myself, I never had exams. There's never rubrics. I just kind of always wanted to do a project that I wanted to do, and the sort of the way you understood whether it was good or not actually is one thing is class discussion with the peers and your professors. So you just throw people's comments and you sort of how the discussion goes and what people are talking about, what they see, and the most important part is actually continue thinking about it after you finish it for a long while. Maybe you finish a piece and then you think about it for 6 months. Maybe you'll realize something, whether it was good or not. It's really about your self-realization, and then continue making more objects and continue to think about it along the way. I think those are actually more important than anything teacher can say to you. It's much more of a self-reflective process that I don't know if is it teachable. I don't know. Is it learnable? Maybe. I don't know how to teach that. I don't know how to teach another student to think like the way I do, and I don't want to, because everyone thinks very differently. So I don't know how to teach art really. Like I can tell a student what's good, how they can improve their work, but I don't think I know how to teach them. I don't know how I can tell them how to think. It's really based on their personality, based on their traits, based on what they think about art and all those things that I think in a way outside teachers go. So I don't know, it's very tricky. So to answer long answer short, yeah, my position, yes, art education is important, but it's quite mystifying. Yeah, and then I think just overall they put too much emphasis on examination here. I kind of wish I would like to see more people doing art because they want to do, and I think that's better. The outcome will be more exciting.
Wrapped up in the sheets, but I saw my reflection and fled in defeat. If I can get back by the midsummer heat, I'll be looking for it out on.
Oh man, okay. If I have kids, I don't think I want them to be an artist. It's tough. Like you do a lot of things, people don't appreciate it, people don't look at it. It takes. You might take certain personality to do it. You might have to be very oblivious in a way. You need to be very confident in what you're doing. You need to be able to reflect on your own and all those things. You need to sort of encourage yourself. So I don't know. I think everyone should do art. I think it's great. Everyone should do something creative. But as a career, it's tough. In Singapore, it's tough to make it as a career. Yes. To be a full-time artist, you just need to be like somehow famous, so that's tough. But it's okay. I really don't mind, working part-time, do art on my own at a time. But that means that I just have to work extra hard. So that means I go out less. I don't go on long vacations. Whatever time I have, it's my studio time. And I think sometimes I just feel like don't want to do it anymore, and there's no reward at the end, right? Like everyone's like saving money and buying houses. As an artist, there's certain sacrifices, but then thinking about it again, this is what I want to do. So I pretty much made up my mind that those sacrifices are in a way okay, because a lot of things in life don't make any sense, but doing art makes a lot of sense. Like when I finish a piece, when the piece is good, it feels right. Everything makes sense, and that's the greatest feeling that I don't think anything can really compare to. So it's almost like a drug. Like you keep wanting to have that feeling again and again, but there's a lot of lows along the way. So the advice is, yeah, keep going. If it's not good, do it again. Do it until you think it's good. And because the toughest part will be if you stop, you're an artist, you stop, no one ever say anything. Like people just carry on, right? People will not say, oh, how come you don't do this anymore? No one will really ask. So you are, in a way, you are the only person who's pushing yourself, and I think that's probably the best reason to do it. And you should, if you believe in it, that you have certain things you want to say, a story you want to tell, a poem you want to write, a music you want to compose, then do it. Do it. If it doesn't make money, just work part-time job and just keep doing what you want to do. There's no easy way. Actually, if it's easy, then no, it's not to make sense. It's actually hard because it makes sense because it's hard. Creativity is supposed to be hard. So that's why, you know, when I see very good work out there, I feel very happy and encouraged, and I want to do the same for myself. And I consider myself a happy person. So because I think it's because I do art.